Okay, we're going to be reviewing the 7900 XTX against the RTX 4080 Super. Before we get into the benchmarks, I did add another game since last time. I added Returnal because I wanted a game that wasn't sponsored by AMD or NVIDIA, like Avatar is sponsored by AMD and Cyberpunk 2077 is sponsored by NVIDIA. I thought that would help, outline the performance differences across these three games instead of just having an AMD sponsored game and an NVIDIA sponsored game. Again, this is a reference AMD card, and the NVIDIA card is not a non-reference. It's the MSI Expert Edition, just like in the last videos. I just want to disclose that when you're looking at price to performance, that this card does cost $169 more. So, without further ado, we can jump into the benchmarks. Jumping into Cyberpunk on the Ultra Graphics Quality preset, the RX 7900 XTX is 8% faster at 1080p, 14% faster at 1440p, and 16% faster at 4K. Switching to Cyberpunk with DLSS on the Quality preset /FSR, no RT and no frame gen, the RX 7900 XTX is 6% faster at 1080p, 15% faster at 1440p, and 16% faster at 4K. Switching to Cyberpunk with DLSS /FSR on the Quality preset and RT on the Medium preset, still no frame gen. The RTX 4080 Super is 24% faster at 1080p, 17% faster at 1440p, and 13% faster at 4K. Switching to Returnal on the Epic Quality preset, the RX 7900 XTX is 12% faster at 1080p, 12% faster at 1440p, and 6% faster at 4K than the RTX 4080 Super. Switching to Returnal with DLSS /FSR in the Quality preset, no RT and no frame gen, the RX 7900 XTX is 19% faster at 1080p, 17% faster at 1440p, and 21% faster at 4K. Switching to Returnal with DLSS and FSR in the Quality preset and RT on the High Quality preset, the RTX 4080 Super is 19% faster at 1080p, 11% faster at 1440p, and 7% faster at 4K than the RX 7900 XTX. Switching to Avatar Frontiers of Pandora on the Ultra Quality preset, the RTX 4080 Super is 12% faster at 1080p, 7% faster at 1440p, and 6% faster at 4K. Switching to Avatar Frontiers of Pandora with DLSS /FSR on the Quality preset on the Fixed Scaling mode, no frame gen, the RTX 4080 Super is 13% faster at 1080p, 9% faster at 1440p, and 14% faster at 4K than the RX 7900 XTX. Which one of these cards should you get? Should you get the RTX 4080 Super or the 7900 XTX? If you don't play with ray tracing and that's not a big feature to you, I would recommend going with the RX 7900 XTX. Ray tracing is a feature that is a big deal to you, then you're obviously going to have to go with the RTX 4080 Super. But just raw performance, the RX 7900 XTX outperforms the RTX 4080 Super. I'm not taking into consideration of the other features these cards offer. If you're interested in something NVIDIA offers and like one of their features for maybe you want to use their encoding or something that's not gaming, maybe that's a bigger deal to you and you'll go with the NVIDIA card for a certain feature that you may like. But if you had to ask me, like non-biased towards the AMD or an NVIDIA brand, which one would I buy? I'd buy the RX 7900 XTX just because I don't use ray tracing. And that's not a feature I use, and I just want the one that gives me the most amount of FPS and is faster in game. And you're probably wondering why it loses in its own sponsored title though, is Avatar, it loses. And you're like, well, it's not losing in any other game, but as soon as RT's on it loses. But why in Avatar is it losing regardless? It's because actually ray tracing is on by default. There's no way to toggle it on or off in the settings, it's just always on. So that's why it's losing in its own sponsored game, which is kind of funny to me because they have their own custom collaboration themed graphics card that they did with AMD and Avatar, which looks really cool, but it's just really funny to me that they're losing in their own sponsored game. They paid money and have this custom themed graphics card and they're losing to the competitor at the same MSRP. So it's very funny to me that they're losing in their own sponsored title at the competitor's product at the same price point. They're losing. So I just thought that was kind of funny, but I'll hint at the next video I'm doing. It's the best CPU cooler that you can just take out of the box, that you can go to Amazon or Micro Center and buy and just throw on your PC. And I was gonna do the Intel 14900K and the Ryzen 7 7800X3, so we'd have AMD and Intel, but the problem is that the bottleneck isn't the cooling solution for the AMD CPU, it's the thickness of the IHS. So you could have the beefiest cooler that you would want, but it doesn't really do anything to increase the performance of that chip. If you just have a normal adequate cooling solution, it's not equivalent to like something like an Intel where it makes a huge, or the Intel chip where it makes a huge difference. So our bottleneck isn't the cooler, so it would make no sense for me to benchmark a bunch of coolers on something we'd see real no tangible performance difference. But I'm ranting. Until then, thanks for watching and hope to see you in the next one. I am so tired and I'm gonna go to bed now.